What's going on, Tarantino fans, and welcome to episode 3 of the Once Upon a Time with Tarantino series. Thank you guys so much for watching the first 2 episodes. I really do appreciate it, guys. I love how you're getting in that comment section and communicating with us. If you guys didn't see the previous 2 episodes in the Once Upon a Time with Tarantino series, I kicked that off with a bang with talking about Reservoir Dogs with Sawyer Sable. In the most recent episode, Pulp Fiction with Chris from 3C Films. And now I'm going to be talking about Tarantino's third film, Jackie Brown, which came out in the year 1997. And I got an awesome guest here with me today. You guys all know who this guy is. If you do not know who he is, you're living under a rock. He is San Antonio's official movie critic, and he's a good man, and I had to collaborate with him because I've never done a one-on-one collab with this man, and I love his channel. That is Rudy from Rudys Movie Reviews. Rudy, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining the series.
Ryan, thank you so much, man. And what better way to start our first collaboration than with a Tarantino film, because I've loved this guy since I first saw his film True Romance. I know he didn't direct it, but he wrote it. So I've been a big fan of his. I saw Jackie Brown in the theater, and I'm really excited to talk about it with you.
Me too, man. Me too. I'm super excited to talk about this movie because I think this film is fantastic as well. But guys, Rudy and I don't just want to talk about this movie alone. We want you guys to join in down below. Tell us your thoughts on Jackie Brown. Do you love it, think it's okay, or do you absolutely hate it? We would love to hear your thoughts on the film as well as your answers to these questions, because we're going to be answering questions, me and Rudy, so we want to hear your guys' answers too, and I'm curious to hear them. So without further ado, guys, let's talk about Jackie Brown. 1997's Jackie Brown. So Rudy, let's start off with the first question, man. When did you first get introduced to Quentin Tarantino?
Funny story. I was in high school. I went to high school from 1991 to 1995. And believe it or not, there was this VHS tape that everybody was passing around saying, you have to see it. It's the craziest thing ever. It's called Reservoir Dogs. So we didn't have Netflix back then. We didn't have cable. So everybody was passing around this tape. And I was like, I can't wait to see it. So everyone was talking about Mr. Pink, Mr. Blonde. And when I finally got it, I watched it. And I'll never forget it because it's just one of those moments like, you know, when you watch a film that really just connects with you and you never forget where you were when you first saw it. That was when I was introduced to Tarantino, was watching Reservoir Dogs on VHS and connecting with Mr. Blonde in the craziest way possible, dude. Yeah. And how it ended and how it didn't show us too much and just that paranoia. That's when I was first introduced to Quentin Tarantino, was a VHS tape in high school titled Reservoir Dogs.
That's awesome, man. It's great to hear that you were first introduced with Reservoir Dogs, because I'm pretty sure everybody starts off with Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained. So to hear Reservoir Dogs makes me happy, of course. But how I got introduced to Tarantino was different. I got into Tarantino with Pulp Fiction and Django Unchained.
Oh,
I
wow.
just watched, the rest of his filmography, because obviously my mother didn't allow me to watch these movies at a certain age. So I was 19 years old when I saw Pulp Fiction.
Wow.
This movie in particular, I watched for the first time to do this, because I've never seen Jackie Brown before.
Really? Wow.
This is the first time.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love this film, and I think it's Tarantino's underrated gem. This movie's great, and there's so much I want to talk about with this film. So let's talk about the film overall, Rudy. What were your overall thoughts with the film?
Well, I'll give you my first impression, and then I'll give you what I think about it now. I remember it was like 1997, 96 when it came out, and it was 3 years after Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction came out of nowhere back when I was in high school. I was a senior in high school when Pulp Fiction came out, and it totally just blew everything away. It was a trend-setting film, how it was out of sequence, and the dialogue, everybody was quoting Pulp Fiction. So when Jackie Brown was announced, I remember going that Friday evening to go see it because the anticipation and what's he going to do next. And the thing about Tarantino that's a common denominator with all his other movies is that you don't know what the hell's going to happen. There's this suspense that's constantly over you the entire film, and you don't know who's going to die, who's going to live, and that's the suspense that we had while watching Jackie Brown. And when it was over, believe it or not, people were saying in the theater walking out, that sucked. That totally sucked. People didn't like it because it wasn't compared to Pulp Fiction, but I enjoyed it from a character standpoint, and that was then. But now I see it once every 6 months, to be totally honest, because from a screenplay standpoint, I think this is one of his most grounded and best screenplays he's ever written, because there's nothing over the top, like I mentioned to you earlier, blowing up Candyland Mansion or shooting up a bunch of Nazis in the theater. It's just very grounded and very human. And it's one of his best screenplays ever, dude. I love the ending, and we'll talk about that later.
I 100% agree with everything you just said, Rudy. I think this is one of Tarantino's best scripts and simple stories as well. I mean,
yes.
The cast that Tarantino assembled for this movie is crazy. Pam Grier, Samuel L. Jackson,
yes.
Robert De Niro, Michael Keaton. So many great A-list actors in this film, and it was great to see a film like this come out at its time. And I just love seeing all these characters just interact with one another. And Samuel L. Jackson plays Ordell Robbie, and I love Chris Tucker too as Beaumont Livingston, even though he dies in the movie. Spoiler. But man, the cast is just really good in this film.
Absolutely.
Rudy, why don't you talk about the cast a little bit? The
cast is amazing. One of my favorite characters, of course, is Pam Grier, who plays Jackie Brown, and Robert Forster, who plays Max Cherry. Robert,
yeah, I like him too.
I loved him, and this was like a resurgence for his career, because at the time Tarantino had this reputation of getting actors who were not really at the A level anymore, like John Travolta was in Pulp Fiction, and then shooting them up to Oscar, discussions. John Travolta was nominated for, like, I think Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor for Pulp Fiction, and when they announced Robert Forster, there was all this talk like, hey, he's a has-been actor, and now look, he's in this high-grade action film with Tarantino. And the one surprise was De Niro, because he had worked with Harvey Keitel twice, and I figured now that he had more money, everyone was talking about, well, now he can afford Robert De Niro. So Robert De Niro felt out of place while watching Jackie Brown at the first time in the theater, because, hey, where's Mr. Wolf? Where's Harvey Keitel? That's what we were thinking, that he was just an upgrade from Harvey Keitel. So the cast is amazing. Of course, Sam Jackson is just, him and Tarantino are like, they're born to be together and to work together. That whatever Tarantino writes, Sam Jackson he's born to read it and just to play those characters. So I love the ensemble of the cast. You have a lot of characters who have weight and contribute to the story. But of course, Max Cherry, Pam Grier, and Sam Jackson are my favorites.
Yeah, Pam Grier is great as Jackie Brown. That character is so interesting. And De Niro is awesome.
Yes.
Rudy, we both agree this is Tarantino's most underrated movie. Let's talk about the answer to question number 3. Why aren't people talking about this movie like they're talking about with Pulp Fiction and all of that? Why is this movie so underrated? Rudy, go right ahead, man.
You know what I think? Honestly, because it's not as over the top as the other films. I love Tarantino from the very beginning. So if you look at Pulp Fiction, you have a lot of over the top situations like the Gimp, for example. You have like the Inglourious Basterds, where you have the Bear Jew, hitting people over the head and shooting the theater full of nuts. Yeah, the Bear Jew. You have all these over the top, where Hugo Stiglitz,
Yeah, the Nazis.
Yeah, you have all these over the top characters and scenarios, and especially with Django Unchained, the shootouts with the blood and gore, Kill Bill, all the blood and gore, things are extremely over the top, and of course that's very attractive to the average moviegoer. They want to see a fun film with a lot of things that are just in a fantasy landscape. And Tarantino's Jackie Brown, as we mentioned already, it's the most grounded, most human character film he's ever written. And I'm looking forward to this new film coming out, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because it kind of mirrors, from what I can tell, the same type of wavelength that Jackie Brown has. So I'm very excited about this upcoming film, but I think that's why people don't talk about it, because there's not a bunch of over the top or quotable scenes as compared to the others.
That's a perfect explanation, because when you think Tarantino, you think of the blood, you think of the swearing, and you think of the over the top performances. But this film had a more grounded story compared to his other films. And I think with added in Samuel L. Jackson and just these A-list actors, he was able to tell a more simple story that's more realistic.
Yeah.
And also, I think this is the least goriest of the Tarantino films, and I think it just focused more on the characters and the story.
Yes.
And I think people should rewatch this movie, or a lot of people, if you haven't seen the film, you need to watch it, because it tells a lot with story and characters compared to the shoot 'em up and all that Tarantino blood and gore.
Exactly.
And that's why I think this film is extremely underrated, and this film's great. But Rudy, I think we should get to the fourth question now, talking about some more characters. I think we talked about Samuel L. Jackson already, and De Niro. Rudy, who's another one of your favorite characters in this film?
Oh, man. Like I said, watching it again, especially that I'm a little older now watching it, I can totally connect to Max Cherry and Pam Grier more than ever because, again, they are the true heart of this film. If you take away the heist, this film is really a heist film, and it's talking about the process of the heist versus the execution of the heist. And this film focuses on two older individuals that are middle-aged. You have Max Cherry, who he talks about in the film that he's been doing this job for 19 years, and he just wants to give up and start up and do something different. You have Pam Grier, who's an older woman who is now facing, if I get arrested, what do I have to offer? I have no income, no 401k. What do we do? So you have two individuals at the very the elder evening parts of their lives, and they connect and they help each other. And there's this human connection that you really don't see coming, but you have these two people just meet. And they help each other out, and there's this connection that they have, and it's heartbreaking. And I'll talk. I'll save this. I'm excited to talk about it. But my favorite scene ties with these people. But I can just completely relate to these people living lives, and then at one point you look back and say, "What do I have to offer? What do I have to gain? What do I get to walk away with?" And they're just kind of empty. Then they meet each other and they fill that hole. So they are there too, dude. I love them too. They are my favorite characters, man. I swear.
Max Cherry, I really like Robert Forster's performance in that movie for sure, and his motivations do make sense. Absolutely. I also really like Michael Keaton as Ray Nicolette. I think he's great as well. Those two cop characters are hilarious.
Yeah.
But really, Jackie Brown's story is really human as well. She's just a flight attendant, and she doesn't want to go back to jail. She just wants to work a normal life, and so. Every character in this movie's great. Bridget Fonda as Melanie, she's great as well. Just the scenes of her smoking pot with Robert De Niro were hilarious and all that. And oh my God, we got to talk about a scene once we get to the favorite scenes question. But really, all these characters are great picks. But for me, I really like Max Cherry.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about our favorite scenes. Oh. So Rudy, what's your personal favorite scene in Jackie Brown?
Can I go with a tie?
Sure.
Okay.
Let it all out, man.
My number one, that if you were to ask me now without hesitation, is the ending. From a screenplay character standpoint, I saw it last night, and I Snapchatted you or on Instagram, like, hey, I'm getting ready for this. And I was cheering up at the end because, again, you have these two individuals at the twilight of their lives, and they connected, and who knows if you're ever going to connect with somebody at that level again. And they're talking about, Jackie's telling him, I didn't use you, and he's like, hey, I'm 57 years old, I'm responsible for what I do, not anybody else. And they're just talking, they have a kiss, and his phone rings, and he answers it because he's running a business, and he's talking about, yes ma'am, that's a hell of a charge. And Jackie Brown just goes, shh, and just walks away. And he's on the phone as this person that he may not ever connect with ever in his life again walks out, and he's just looking at her. From a screenplay standpoint, that's fucking amazing. She's just walking out, he's looking at her, and she gets in the car, he's like, hey, I gotta let you go, bye. And he hangs up, and she drives off. There's no goodbye. They don't say goodbye. And he just walks off in the back, and it fades and blur, and he just kind of does this. And it's heartbreaking, dude. It's just heartbreaking. Imagine connecting with somebody, and you can't say goodbye. It's so fucking human and emotional that... I got goosebumps. Yeah. It's just emotional, man. I love it. I love it, man. It's like, it's so, you want them to say goodbye, but you can't. And it's that thing, that drama that we love about films is that you want them to connect, but they can't. Oh, dude, that scene gets me, man.
I can feel your pain, man. It just ends with across 100 inches.
Yes, God, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That scene's great, man. That scene's fantastic. I gotta go with the mall scene. Everything that happens in the final act in the mall. It's so great. Tarantino is well known for different perspectives of what's going on with a certain crime.
Yes.
And we're going down in the mall, in the dressing room with the money, all right, different people have the money. Who's going to get the money? Who's going to walk out alive?
Yeah.
And I just love the perspective with Robert De Niro and
Yes.
Melanie.
Yes.
So good. He just kills her.
Yes.
He kills her because she's so annoying. I freaking love it.
Lewis.
Like, that is... That's the moment where, like, yep, that's Tarantino for you. And I just love the different perspectives of who actually got the money. Like, Samuel Jackson's going off on Robert De Niro. He shoots him. It's so great.
Yeah.
Like, that mall is just great. That's definitely my favorite scene.
And if I can just piggyback off that, that was my. I said a tie. So that's my second scene, because in the theater, everybody, I can tell. You know how you can be in a movie and feel the energy of the crowd, whether they're bored. Everybody, while watching Jackie Brown in the theater that Friday night, that premiere, they were bored. And as soon as that sequence started with the mall heist, you can feel the tension. And then De Niro with his excellent performance, like, we're late, hurry up. He's banging on the door, and he's just so tensed up with Bridget Fonda. It's everybody was on their fucking, like, the edge of their seat, like, who's gonna die, what's gonna happen? It's a Tarantino film, we don't know who's gonna die, what's gonna happen. And then when he shot her in the parking lot, there was a gasp in the theater, because like, oh, like, we didn't expect it, because, you know, if you see it for the first time, it's a surprise. So imagine a theater of people not knowing what's gonna happen, then he just turns around, pow, and then, hey, it's parked over here, I told you it would. You know, it just blew everybody out of the fucking seats, out of the water, dude. And that whole scene was my second favorite, just because of the screenplay. And think about it, we film videos all the time. It's got to take some real talent to film a scene and have tension in it. And that scene had tension throughout the entire sequence, dude. And that's my second favorite.
All right, let's go to question 6, Rudy, because this is the toughest question. What's your least favorite scene in this film?
Oh, you know what? You sent me the questions in advance. I thought about it for 4 days, and I don't have a least favorite scene with this film, man. If I were just to possibly name a favorite scene, a least favorite scene, it would probably be the one girl dancing to the Supremes' Baby Love. Everything else is gold, man, but that's just, I get why she's singing in front of De Niro. He's gonna get laid. He's just getting a show before he gets laid. But that's, if I were to be nitpicky, that's probably my least favorite scene. Everything else is gold. I don't want to speak to it. It's fucking gold, man.
Yeah, me as well. I can't really think of anything that's bad. It just any scene without Samuel Jackson, you could say, but really, I really like every scene in this movie. It's really great, and there's nothing I wouldn't change about the movie, if I'm being completely honest with you. So,
yeah,
it's tough to pick a least favorite scene for this movie.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. All right. So, let's go to question 7, Rudy. What were your issues with the film? What were your flaws?
Well, like I said, I can only go with like my first impression. I remember being in the theater that night, like I mentioned twice already, and it being kind of slow. And that's just that was my expectations. Everybody was expecting like a Pulp Fiction ×4, like just like over the top, you know, all these different stories kind of intertwined together. And that's not what we got. We got a grounded story with a woman just trying to get out of a bad situation and being 3 to 4 steps ahead of everybody else. So I remember initially I was bored during the film while watching it, because it was not what we expected. Then the heist scene kicks in and the film takes off, and then you're totally fine. But again, that was my first impression. Now watching it, I've seen it countless times, including yesterday. I don't have any flaws with it. It's a perfect character piece. And you've seen my videos, Ryan. You know I'm always preaching about characters and connecting with people. I connect with these people. I feel their pain. I know exactly where they stand. I know where even Sam Jackson's character stands. He's been busting his ass selling, illegal firearms. He's got $500,000. He wants to get his money. I get where everybody is coming from. So I don't have any flaws with it. I really can't pick anything.
If you were to pick really nitpicking, maybe the cops characters didn't get as much compared to the other characters. Yeah. You can nitpick with that.
Yeah.
But really, every character had a great motivation. I do agree with you. They all have reasons for why they're doing this heist, or reasons why they're doing certain things.
Yes.
And I think that's what works about Tarantino films, is that majority of them are so good that it's difficult to pick flaws, because they're all close to perfect films.
They are.
Yeah, I think this film executed every scene flawlessly, and I think every character got their moment to shine for sure. But if you really were to take us in nitpicks, here and there. Maybe the cop characters could have got a little more development, but still,
Yeah.
it's still great.
Yeah.
It doesn't change the score.
And if I can just, now that I'm being nitpicky, maybe Sam Jackson's death, it was too fast. I remember the theater like, that's it?
Yeah.
That's it? Like, well, there's no climax? Usually in a Tarantino film, everyone kills each other, like in Reservoir Dogs, and everyone's bleeding out at the end. So just to have Sam Jackson, like, he's got a gun, and he's dead. I'm like...
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, it's like, that's it?
And his face when he died.
Yeah, and I love that shot. They have the camera on the ground looking up, and they're just kind of talking about him. Yeah, so it's like...
That's how he died, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good nitpick, actually.
Yeah.
That's a really good nitpick.
Yeah, but I feel bad about saying it, because it's flawless in my opinion, but that's the one nitpick.
Or Chris Tucker dies way too early.
Beaumont, yeah.
I like Chris Tucker so much. Damn, what the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie's so good, guys.
It is.
So now let's go to the final question, Rudy. This is a big question for you. Where does this film rank in your Tarantino ranking? So, have you seen all the Tarantino films?
Abso-fucking-lutely. Yes, I have.
Okay, so where does this movie rank?
Top three. My favorite, it's
3.
Jackie Brown, Inglourious Bastards, and Pulp Fiction. Those are my top 3.
Okay.
And again, the Glorious Bastards, I love it because it's just so over the top. Pulp Fiction's Pulp Fiction. That changed cinema and set a trend there were so many Pulp Fiction imitations after Pulp Fiction came out. It just changed the genre. It just changed everything about modern cinema. But Jackie Brown, from a as I mentioned, from a screenplay standpoint, character piece. Oh God, I can scream about it all night, but dude, it's just my favorite. I love each and every character. It's got a poignant ending, and it's, again, my top 3.
Okay, so for me, this ranks definitely number 4 as of right now.
Okay.
I rewatched Reservoir Dogs, and that was my number 4 previously, but Jackie Brown has dethroned it. So my top 3 are Django Unchained number 1, Pulp Fiction number 2, Inglourious Bastards number 3, and then we got Jackie Brown at number 4 as of right now. I think this film is fantastic, and I'm glad I watched it because it's super underrated, and you guys should definitely rewatch it or watch it because I think it's an underrated Tarantino masterpiece.
Absolutely. I completely agree, man.
Yeah. So, that does it, guys. That was our review / discussion for Jackie Brown. Rudy, thank you so much, man, for coming on the Tarantino series, talking Jackie Brown, praising it beyond belief. Guys, it's been a blast. So, guys, we want you down below in the comment section to let us know your answers and your thoughts on Jackie Brown overall. And Rudy, before we close out the video, man, you gotta let my subscribers know where they can find you on your social media.
Yeah, your subscribers can find me at Rudys Movie Reviews. You can just type that in YouTube and you see me there. I'm on Instagram and also Twitter. I primarily don't do a lot of first run reviews. I do them when I can, but I try to focus on retro reviews. That's really where my heart and passion is. And I try to give everybody a perspective of what things were felt and how things were feeling while that movie was in the theater, hence like I did with this film. So yeah, check out a couple of videos, subscribe if you like what you see, and again, Ryan, you're the man. This is a long time coming. This is our first collab. I couldn't hold back my enthusiasm with the opportunity and this film. It was like a perfect storm, dude. I loved it, man.
Yeah,
I was like yelling off the top of my head. I love this film, and thanks for having me, dude. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we have great chemistry, man. Yeah, we share that same enthusiasm. But guys, please check out Rudy's channel. He does such great movie content over there. And also, go check him out on that news program he's been on, talking movies, doing what he loves as San Antonio's official movie critic. But guys, go check out Rudy's channel. His link is in the description below. You will not be disappointed. And guys, thank you so much for watching episode 3 of the Once Upon a Time with Tarantino series. Be sure to look out for episode 4 because that's going to be Kill Bill Volume 1. And joining me for that is Amy from the movie Checklist. So look forward to talking about Uma Thurman. But thank you guys as always for watching this episode in the Tarantino series. If you guys liked it, give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please go subscribe to Rudy and to me as well for more content. All of my social media links are in the description below. Click the notification bell on your way out, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!